What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Power Play with CJ. I just want to focus in on the Anaheim Ducks 2016-2017 season preview, as Anaheim looks to be a team that that's looking to break through and make it back to the Stanley Cup final for the first time in a decade. A lot of talent up front. With Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf and Ryan Kessler holding down that second line center role. Wanted to start off talking about Nick Ritchie, who could potentially be the left wing with Perry and Getzlaf. I saw him play last year in the AHL in San Diego in person, and I like his physicality. I like his snarl. He's a tough kid. Opens up time and space with his tenacity, and I think there's the potential there for that to be the Legion of Boom, Legion of Doom, whatever you want to call it, Orange County Express. There's a lot of sandpaper between those three, and Richie weighs about 240 pounds. He's a big boy, and loves to get in there, loves to play the physical game, and had 30 points, 38 games with the Gulls last year in San Diego. Had only a couple points with the Ducks in 33 games, but I think he's a guy that has the potential to slide in there and be again that physical presence and simultaneously put away some rebounds, tip-ins, tap-ins, and deflections. That's your first line. Your second line with Kessler, Silverberg, and Cogliano. Solid second line. I mean, Kessler's entering the first year of his big extension. They kind of regret that contract, whether they'll ever admit to it or not is neither here nor there. So, that is what it is. And then third line, Mason Raymond, who they signed this summer. I'd say Antoine Vermette and Ryan Garbutt, something along those lines. And then Rickard Rakell's in the mix. He still hasn't been signed. And after mentioned Antoine Vermette has been, they signed him to the 2-year deal. Nate Thompson won't be back until December, January. So by adding guys like Vermette and like Mason Raymond, they've added some depth in their bottom six because they like Nate Thompson. He's an easy player to like, so they're going to need him when he gets back. So keep an eye on that. I mean, their high-end forwards are as good as any in the league, and their depth guys don't completely suck either. Defense. They don't have a legitimate number one defenseman. I mean, Vatanen and the unsigned Hampus Lindholm, the two Scandinavians at the top of your top pairing. I guess that's one way to look at it. I think Simone Dupree, if he can stay healthy, is a very, very important defenseman for this blue line. Cam Fowler's going to have the trade rumors circling around him all year long, so that's something that's kind of like, come on, man. And Bieksa, Clayton Stoner, I know they want Stoner the hell out of there because he's really not that good. And Bieksa, at this point, again, is what he is. So, we'll see what happens. Shea Theodore's knocking on the door. They really like Montour. I liked what I saw from Josh Manson last season. He gives you some bite. So, the blue line, it's not the 2007 Ducks where they had, Niedermeyer, Pronger, the immortal Sean O'Donnell, Francois Beauchemin. There's some kind of talent in that blue line. Just there's some depth, but no real established number one. Drew Doughty's not walking through that. He's not driving south on the I-5 anytime soon. So, blue line, Goaltending, John Gibson, he's your number one. It seems like it's been 3 years in the making, but he's going to open the season as the Ducks' number one goalie. They acquired Jonathan Bernier from Toronto in a second side deal that is part of the one separate from the one that sent Freddie Anderson there. I like Bernier as a backup. I like Gibson as a number one. We'll see how they split the duty. I mean, I think Bernier is a guy that, if Gibson struggles or, gets banged up or whatever, he can carry the load for an extended period of time. He's just that good of a player. He's a good, solid 1B goalie. And I think Toronto thought more of him. Of course, he was also playing behind a porous team, so I think Bernier is just a solid, backup / mentor to Gibson. He knows his role. He knows he's not going to go in there and, push Gibson out of a job. But, he's a guy that's going to spell him at times and be a good veteran presence in the locker room. So we'll see how that dynamic plays itself out. And again, bringing back Randy Carlisle, one of those like what? Again, I would not have gone that direction. I wouldn't have done a sequel for Randy Carlisle. I don't think the sequel is going to be as good as the original. But it's one of those. All right, you got him. Let's see what you can get out of this nucleus of young players. I think Anaheim is probably a top 2 team in the Pacific Division, and we'll see if they're able to make some noise and make it to the Stanley Cup final this season. They got the pieces. They've got the assets. They've got the cap space to make a move at the deadline. So if they're very much in the thick of things, look for Anaheim to be buying because can San Jose repeat what they did last year? LA, according to everyone, is on the decline. Chicago, kind of maybe going down that slippery slope. St. Louis still hasn't made it to a final. Nashville, they've got some questions. So the West is a little bit more, and Dallas as well. Dallas' goaltending is a nightmare. So the West kind of is wide open. The West is a lot more wide open than the East, which you really don't say too often. But Anaheim could very well see themselves in the Stanley Cup final next year. They're not my pick to make it, but if you told me at the end of the year they're playing in June, it would not shock me. So we'll see what happens. But definitely a top 2 team in the Pacific Division. That much I do know. Anyway, that's all I got. Sort of the power play with CJ. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the off season and beyond. Later, guys.